This time we've got a 2011 Jeep Wrangler, I think it is, and it's got a bad transmission. So we've got it up on the lift, and we are gonna take this transmission out. Okay, so the first thing we gotta do is we're gonna get this cross member here off. Okay, now that we got that off, we need to take this other cross member off. And it's this one right here. And it comes down, there's 2 bolts here and 2 bolts there. That's covering up our transfer case and our drive line. So we got to get this off so we can get the drive line out. Okay, now we got those bolts off. Take our skid plate off. Next, we need to get the drive shaft out. We'll do the rear drive shaft first. And all these little bolts right here, all those got to come out. Okay, so now the angle is too bad. We can't get our wrench in here to get these other bolts out. So now we need to get the transmission in neutral. And what we'll do is just take a little screwdriver, stick it in there, and pop it down like that. That's all you gotta do right there. Then you can shift. It's in park right now. That's reverse. So all the way that way towards the rear of the truck, that's park. So we'll just grab it right here. That's park, reverse. I'll do it again. Park, reverse, neutral. 2 down, that's neutral. So now on our drive shaft, we can turn the wheels now and rotate these other bolts right down there where we can get them, right like that. And we'll continue taking these bolts out, and then this will come out. Okay, and we'll do the same thing on the front part of the rear drive shaft. Where it bolts up to the transmission, we'll take all these out right here. Now that we've got all the little bolts out of there, we'll just give it a little tap with the hammer here. Give her a little tap. There you go. Good in there. It's just like a rag joint, kind of, all them bolts in there. So that's the rear drive shafts out. Now we got to get the front drive shaft out, and it's got another rag joint in the back. And then up here you got a standard U-joint up here, so it's just 4 bolts up here to get out. And our front drive shaft, start taking these bolts out right here. And now we'll get the front of the front drive shaft bolts off. 4 bolts. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I got this pry bar wedged up here on this arm. That's to keep that from spinning while I'm taking these bolts out. So now I've got it, I can take it loose. And drop the front drive shaft here. Okay, now the drive line's out of it. So now I've got it supported. I've got the transmission jack under the base of the main transmission. And I've also got a stand under the transfer case. So I'm supporting the transmission in two places here. And I'm going to take this transmission cross member. It's got to come out next. And then we're going to have to make sure that we keep support of this transmission so it don't fall. So we'll go ahead and take these. There's looks like 4 bolts right here. We'll take these out. So there's 2 bolts here that we got 2 nuts we got to take off. One here and one over here on the other side on this bracket. This is the top of the transmission cross member. We got to take these 2 bolts off to get it loose from the transmission so this cross member will come off. There's one there and one on the other side. So next we got to get the exhaust off. And there is a bracket right here. We'll take that clamp loose and this will be a slit fit right here. And then up under here, there's 2 bolts there holding that one on and 2 bolts on the other side. And there's 2 bolts there. 2 bolts there. We'll get those off. And then the tailpipes will come off. Okay, so you gotta take your pick and get these little clips out of these lines and then pull your transmission cooler lines loose. Now we got to take this bracket off right here, 13 millimeter. Just move our shifter cable out of the way. Pull these training cooler lines out of the way. Push that secondary lock in. Push that way. Unplug that. Unplug that. And right here we got a zip tie we got to cut. And then up there we got another zip tie. And right here, this is our 4-wheel drive shifter. This is our range shifter to put it in 4-wheel drive. Got to get that out. And we get us a flathead screwdriver again. Stick it up in here. And pop that off. Okay, we'll take the 4-wheel drive shifter bracket off. That's a 5/8. just move this bracket out of the way too. Another sensor right here. Unplug that one. And that should be all of the wires on this side. Yep, that's all those. Okay. Okay, so after getting the exhaust off, we got to get the rest of the wire harness off here. So we'll go ahead and get these zip ties off. And go ahead and pull the vent tube off. That goes right there. The rest of this. We got something on the other side over there. I had one more connector on the other side to get loose. That connector right there was on the other side. And it had a secondary lock right here. Right here. So I had to push that out and then squeeze it here and then pull it out. Next up, we got to get the transfer case off right here, and I think we got like 6 bolts here holding that on. Get those off. I'm actually going to leave this one in. I'm going to leave it on just a little bit because that's going to be my control bolt. I'm going to take all these other ones off in this plate. Take all these other ones off and leave that one on some, so that when I'm actually ready to hold it and get it off, it's pretty heavy. I can just spin that one with my fingers and then it'll come off and I'll have control of it. If I take them all out, it could fall out and get hurt, and you don't want to get hurt. You get this low enough down, it's still connected to the engine, still sitting on the motor mounts, but you can get this down low enough where you can get a wrench on that bolt right there and get it off. Right there. And there's one more on the other side we got to get. Okay, now we just got our one bolt right here. That's all it's holding it. See that? She's ready to come out, and it's just a shaft going in there with a seal on it. That's all it is. So what I'm going to do here is lower this down. I've got support here. I got a transmission jack under it here to hold the main body, the main transmission. Then I've got this other jack here. This one right here, it's got a twisty handle on it so I can adjust it. This one is holding the transfer case. So now I'm going to remove this one so I can take the transfer case off, but I've still got it right here with this jack. so we're still supported. There we go. So we'll just remove our jack. And we'll hold it. Remove this last nut right here. This is our control nut. So once we take this nut off, it'll be ours. And we'll have to be ready to hold it and not drop it and get hurt. So what we'll do is take both hands, get a good grip on it, and just kind of ease it out. Oh, like that. Okay, so this particular model transmission has a crank sensor right here. That's part of that harness that we got to get that off. There we go. Pull that little lock out, and she pops right off right there. And just move that up out of the way. And then what we'll have to do here is take the dipstick. The dipstick tube right here has got a bolt right there. We'll take that out, take the dipstick tube out, and let it hang up in there or remove it. Probably be easier just to pop it up and remove it. And that looks like a 10 millimeter. Yep, that's a 10 millimeter. Take that out. Next, we'll go ahead and remove the dipstick tube. Just pull it up and out here. Yeah, it looks like there's another bracket up there that we gotta take loose. So right there, that's right there. We got to get that bracket loose because it's connected to our drain tube here, our dipstick tube. We'll get that one off. There we go. All right, so now we got to get our flywheel bolts off. All right, so that's the rear of the truck. That's the front of the Jeep. So now what we got to do is get this plate off right here so we can get to the flywheel bolts. And these are a 15 millimeter. All right, now you can see our flywheel bolts there, one there and one over there. So we're gonna have to rotate the engine to get these bolts out. All right, so it's a 15 millimeter, and we'll just rotate it right there where we can get that bolt. Okay, so it's an 18 millimeter right there. I'm not sure here, but it's probably going to try to rotate the engine as I'm breaking this loose. So what we're going to have to do is put something we're going to have to hold the socket that we got on the front of the crankshaft to keep the engine from turning as we break this loose. There we go. There it is. Okay, now we'll rotate the engine again. Okay, so now we are going to take off bell housing bolts. I think those are 5/8 too. 18 millimeter. I think I put Loctite on these. Alright, so to get these up top, you just use a super long transmission extension. And just come right over the top. Okay, next up is the starter bolts. Okay, just drop your starter out. There's a shim plate right here. Gonna hang on to that. And there's another bolt way up top. And we'll come up here with a really super long extension on this one. Let's see if we can feel for it here. Yep, it's right there. Up there. There we go. That one was in the very top. All right, that's it. So she should be ready to come now. Okay, hold right there. Yeah. Oh yeah, quick tip. Drain the transmission fluid before you do this. Otherwise it goes right down the armpit. Yeah.